the risk the child might have of
having a stroke.
A stroke. Wow. And the important question is, can we do that here?
Oh yes, at the Sickle Cell Foundation, it is readily available, and it's very cheap at the foundation because it's a foundation.
Well, how many people can you cater to?
As much people as come. Sometimes we scan as much as 40 children a day.
Okay, now, when you've done this test, how successful is it? Or should I say, how many strokes can you prevent?
There is an ongoing, research on that, on how we've been able to prevent children who have seen that have a high risk of stroke from coming down with a stroke. So far, so good. At the Sickle Cell Foundation, we have over 500 people who have high risk of stroke and have been put on our stroke prevention therapy, and none of them so far has come down with a stroke.
So this monitoring can effectively, alert you before a stroke happens, and then you can begin to do some stuff.
Yes.
Okay. Now let's go to something else. I believe there's a call coming in. Hello. Hello. We seem to have lost that. Hello. We seem to have lost that. Please do try again. Now, can somebody who is born with the sickle cell disorder live crisis-free throughout life? Is there such a thing as the person has never had a crisis all their life?
No, I haven't seen that.
So,
I haven't seen
that happens, no matter how much care is taken?
Yes, the individual will still come down with some subtle crisis. Some things would just precipitate a crisis. For instance, is it possible to say you lived in Nigeria for 40 years and not have malaria?
Well, no. There's a call coming in, Fumi. Hello, Fumi. Well, something seems to be wrong there. Hello? Something definitely seems to be wrong there. Hello? Okay, I think we've got her now. Do try again. So, do we have, because this disorder is so heavy, I think maybe second only to malaria?
Nigeria has the highest burden of sickle cell. Let me just give you some statistics. In Nigeria, we have about 40 million people who are carriers of the S gene.
That means they are ASs.
Yeah,
or ASs, something else.
Yes, or something else. So they are carriers of the S gene. We have 40 million Nigerians like that. And as you clearly mentioned, we have 150,000 children born each year with this disease. And currently in Nigeria, we have over 1 million people living with the sickle cell disorder as compared to 100,000 in the US. So yes, the burden is high in Nigeria, and this is where we have the highest burden in the world.
So the question I want to ask is, do we have a policy in place for something as important as that?
Yes, there are some policies in place for sickle cell disorder, but because it is a disease that affects majorly this part of the world and a few other places in Asia and some parts in the Middle East, so it is not like your HIV that is global and very, very...
But it could spread.
It could spread. In the US, you find it amongst mostly African Americans, so people who have been exported from there. So you don't find it generally mainly among Caucasians. So yeah, it's not...
Okay, we'll come back to that. I believe Simon is calling. Hello, Simon, from Badagry. Hello, Simon?
Hello?
Hello, Simon. We can hear you. Can you ask your question?
Yeah, good afternoon, sir.
Good day.
Good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon.
We can hear you. Go on. Good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Simon.
Hello?
Simon, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Apparently, good afternoon, Simon. Can you give us your question? We can hear you. Simon was not hearing us, obviously. Okay. I happen to have met a few people who are living with this disorder, and they always seem to be taking folic acid. How significant is that?
Very
What
significant.
does it do?
Yeah, it's a routine drug. Because I mentioned that the red cells of people who don't have this disorder has a half-life of about 90 to 120 days. But in sickle cell patients, between 10 to 20 days. And once this is broken down, one of the breakdown products of the red cell is folic acid, and that is not absorbed in the body. So people with sickle cell are usually deficient of folic acid. So what the folic acid does is the folic acid they take in enterally, sorry, it replenishes that which is deficient in the body.
So making more blood.
Yes, it helps them in making more red cells. Yes.
Now, you've mentioned some of the things, let me call them treatment options. They're so simple. A lot of water. And what else
drugs.
is necessary? Routine drugs like folic acid.
Yes.
What else is necessary? What are those treatment options that prolong the life of somebody living with the disorder?
First of all, I think they should have right information about what they are living with. So there's something called genetic counseling. And I think it's a very key and essential part of sickle cell disease, where they sit down with a certified genetic counselor in sickle cell disorder.
And one of the things you tell them is about the dice.
And tells them everything. They tell them
that every
everything.
pregnancy has
Everything.
that risk.
Yes, and it knocks out all the myths that a child after 21 years old, if they are still alive, they won't die again, or they all die by 21. Some of those funny things.
They have been known to die early.
Yes, but that's because there was no adequate care wasn't being given. If adequate care is being given, you don't usually see early deaths in children with sickle cell. For instance, in America...
Just a minute.
Okay.
You can continue. Let's try and get Japheth
Okay.
from Abuja. Hello, Japheth. Hello, Japheth. Well, something seems to be... Well, okay.
Hello.
Yeah, go on, Japheth.
Hello.
Hello, Japheth.
Hello.
Hello, Japheth. Can we have your
Hello?
question? No, Japheth cannot hear
Hello?
us either, even though we can hear him very well. Well, let's just go on with what we were saying. So we spoke about, I keep coming back to the complications because we would like the viewers to know everything that is involved. The acute chest syndrome,
Strokes,
the strokes,
sickles.
the hands and foot syndrome where they swell up, right? And what else is there?
There are a whole lot of other complications. In male sickle cell patients, you have what we call priapism, which is a painful, sustained, prolonged penile erection that we see in males with sickle cell disease, and that has to be attended to quickly in order to avoid...
and a lot of people don't understand about this.
Yes, in order to avoid the child or the individual from having an erectile dysfunction later in life.
Okay.
We also have a complication that we don't commonly see in Nigeria here. It's commoner in some other parts of the world. We call it chronic leg ulcer. So in fact, there are some villages where you go to and there is a child who has a wound on the leg that has refused to heal for years. And
Is that because blood was prevented from flowing to that part of the body?
The exact cause of the leg ulcer has not been elucidated yet, but there are postulations as to why a child with sickle cell disease can have a leg ulcer, and that's one that you just said. Some people think it might be due to inadequate flow, a whole lot. Some people think maybe peripheral vascular diseases, a whole lot of postulations, but no exact cause has been known yet. So with that too, early prompt treatment for everything, early prompt treatment would save a life. And then we also have the avascular necrosis of the hip, which affects the hip bone of people with sickle cell disorder. The long bone in the thigh, called the femur, the head of it, reduced blood supply causes it to necrose.
And then, of course,
yes,
that means that there will be loosening around that
affects
joint.
the hip joint.
Look at that. We've run out of time. And I understand that there's a connection between malaria and sickle cell, but we can't go into that. Thank you so much for coming. It's been a pleasure having you. And you at home, I hope you've learned a thing or two. Maybe we'll get some calls next week. But for now, have a great day. I am Mary Alale Yusuf.